if we were talking about things, the Miles Ahead, the new Miles Davis biopic.
Okay.
Written, directed, starring Don Cheadle.
Okay. Not my first choice.
Well, then you haven't seen the footage of him being Miles Davis. No, not pretending to be Miles Davis. Not acting like Miles Davis. He was Miles Davis.
Okay.
He learned how to play trumpet for the part.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of like that kid who learned how to play drums for
Whiplash? Yeah.
Whiplash.
Yeah, the footage is beautiful. You got to see it.
One, two, and three, and four. Greetings, fellow OMRs. Actually, I think we liked greetings, fellow rewriters better, because it helps you to understand that we're all about rewrites here. I'm Jester. To my immediate left, smoking like a chimney that only burns tobacco, is Lunchbox.
Hey.
And we've got some,
It's me he's talking about.
Yeah. Got some news that we want to cover, a little bit of TGFV and movies that needed a rewrite, and, well, Pixar is telling a whole bunch of release dates, and it seems like they're following the Marvel formula, letting you know the next decade worth of films. Daniel Craig tells us that he'd rather die than do Bond, and, well, some other news got about Marvel stuff and Eddie Murphy. So why don't we dive in with the release dates for Pixar films? It's kind of funny. I mentioned before that it feels like they're following the Marvel model of, here, we're going to tell you everything we're doing for the next 20 years. Because I guess because they told us when they're going to release Expendables, and it's not going to be till like 2019.
Yeah.
Which is a total bummer, because that's, I think, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, entry into the Pixar franchise. Not Pixar franchise, but to the Pixar films.
Expendables?
The Expendables, sorry. The Incredibles. That's what I meant to say. Expendables, Incredibles, it's that Updables thing. Yeah. But The Incredibles is one of my favorite, if not my favorite. It's basically the Fantastic Four movie that should have been made, but was made. I think that if you look at it, it's interesting, because it's like they pushed up Cars 3 for God knows whatever reason.
Yeah, to 2018.
Yeah.
Alright, really?
Over Incredibles.
And then in 2020, like, half of their slate is like live action Disney movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That's not why we love you, Pixar. Why?
Animated Pixar movie. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I won't...
No more information than that, other than that you are releasing a film?
Yeah.
Like, not even a director or actor or anything attached to it.
Heck, we don't even have a script. This totally reminds me of that Sprite commercial from the early 2000s with the, we'll bang something out by Monday for, like, the slug thing, whatever, like slug slime or whatever, slug tacos. Slug toy, you throw it against the wall and whack, it leaves a slime trail. But yeah, I do.
It was all untitled Disney project.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, it was a good 70% of the movies listed there were untitled Disney project, either live action or animated.
Yeah.
Just listed there with no director, name... no plot, no nothing.
Well, no plot, that's not anything new to Hollywood.
Usually when you get something like that, it's Untitled Spike Lee Project.
Well, that's true.
Or Untitled Christian Bale Project. Or Untitled Chuck Norris Project.
Yeah.
I'm going to see that, by the way. No, it's just like you expect to, like, something attached to it,
of info.
Some idea that maybe we have an idea about where we're going with this. No, it's just we plan on releasing a movie on this date and we're sealing it up right now.
Yeah. Do you see that, like,
July 25th, 2020 is our weekend. You can't have it.
Yeah, basically. And do you see that at more of a as because like of the pressure? I guess would say that it's been created because Marvel has like this long-term game plan that now other studios are trying to hop on that, and like Pixar's the next one that's saying, "Hey, we're a major studio that makes lots of money and lots of things that people like, so we're going to book out our slate too. We're going to show you that for the next decade we have plans. May not have solidified them yet, and we can't let you know what they are, but we have plans.
We don't even know what they are.
We don't even know what they are, but yeah, I like what you said there. It's just don't you dare touch this weekend. That's our weekend, and you know we make money, so don't you even think about
and I think
your
that's
film.
what it is. I think that's kind of the major part of it, is that it's been so many years that you end up announcing, like, the year before what weekend your movie is coming out, and then everybody's got to fight to try and rearrange all of their movies on the slate of like, oh no, wait, we can't release against Jurassic World, we're gonna get killed, we've got to open up against something else, or we need to open up against Jurassic World because we've got a romantic comedy and that'll be perfect counter programming for that. And everybody rearranges real quick what they're doing because all of a sudden Jurassic World announced next year we're opening this date, and everybody went, well, no, forget that. I'm going to announce 5 years in advance what weekend I have.
Yeah. It's
I'm not going to let anybody else steal my weekend. My weekend? That weekend. July 25th. That's my weekend. Yeah. 5 years from now. That's my weekend.
And I don't know whether it seems arrogant or pushy or just kind of like, or if it's smart business because it's,
I think it's smart business.
Because when it's Pixar, you're just like, if you're any other studio, like say Sony, who can't seem to figure out how to put a franchise together lately, they're going to say, oh, well, we can't do that because we'd be going up against whatever Pixar's putting out. And we know that that'd be trouble for us, and we still can't figure out how to do Spider-Man right anymore.
Anymore? Did they figure it out once?
I think the first two films, but they had Sam Raimi, and they weren't. There was not as much studio interference for the first couple of films, and then like by the third time, there was just like put as much crap into it as you can.
I'll give you 1, 2. I'm kind of iffy on.
I don't know. I think Doc Ock was pretty awesome, and there were some shots in the second one that totally were Sam Raimi-ified that I just loved.
Right, but no, I thought 2 was a little overblown.
I don't know, but anyway, it's interesting to see, and I'm wondering if there's going to be another studio that is going to do this as well. Like, oh well, Marvel did this, and now Pixar's doing it. We better get into the game, guys. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes in the future because just I don't know whether this is good for films to be announcing stuff before you have stuff. It just because you're a studio that's known for making product. Because not only does that put tremendous pressure to perform on the directors, actors, and producers that, I mean, there already is there, but just...
Well, you can always shift the schedule later, as they often do.
As they do, but still...
No, it got pushed back from... Titanic was supposed to be released a year earlier than it was. Well,
that's true.
About 6 months earlier
6 months.
Than
It was supposed to be a summer movie, and then they turned it
It was supposed to be a December movie.
Oh, that's
right. It was
an
Oscar contender. It was supposed to be released as an Oscar contender in December, and they ended up releasing it in like early summer the following year.
No, I thought it was the other way around.
No.
Okay, well...
No, but it's supposed to be released in December.
I'll have to check
I think
that.
I have one of the original posters.
Well, I know there's a popcorn tub. I remember seeing a popcorn tub that like Collide with Destiny before they rearranged it to be a romantic movie drama thing rather than this kind of...
And it should have been way more dramatic, and should have been like a much heavier movie. But then they cut out an hour of the movie, and I still want to see that other hour. I think that
require watching Titanic again, though.
I think the 3.5 hour version of Titanic is probably pretty good.
To some people, or no? Well, it's a love-hate thing. But anyway,
I didn't care for the hour-and-a-half version, or the 2.5 hour version.
It's like 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think that the extra hour that was all about the people that were in steerage would be actually kind of a really interesting story, and that's all of the plot that they cut out. Was they cut out all the poor people.
As one does. Anyway.
Wow. I don't know if that's a metaphor for something, but it might be.
Titanic was a bigger metaphor than I thought. Anyway, we digress. So we'll see where this goes. Whether more studios jump on the, hey, we have a 10-year plan thing going on. And but yeah.
I think that eventually everybody's going to end up planning at least 5 years out.
Well, not that they already do. They already do plan several years out,
right,
but
that
they're
they
going
don't
to be
announce
they're
that
going to
they're
be
going
announcing
to. This is my weekend. 5 years from now, we're releasing.
Yeah.
5
years from now, there's going to be another X-Men movie, and it's this weekend, so you get out of the way, turkeys, because it's ours. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, 2042, we're releasing The Avengers Reborn, starring a CGI version of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. With cameos by,
Clark Gable and Humphrey Bogart.
The special appearance by, Wolverine, and because they'll CG died him into. Anyway.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, well, he's Wolverine, so,
And always will be.
And always will be. Speaking of people who always will be, Daniel Craig, he's kind of entered his own, I guess you would say, Bondness, where people like him as just as much as many of the classic Bonds. Obviously the most classic being Sean Connery, but, there's Sean Connery and Roger Moore.
George
Lazenby did, he got a bad script, and he never entered there. Same with Timothy Dalton.
And then became a hippie, and everybody hated him.
Yeah.
Well, Broccoli hated him.
Yeah.
So, he never got much past that beyond being a hippie.
Timothy Dalton
grew a beard and long hair and showed up at the premiere with a beard and long hair. Really? Come on. Of course you're going to get kicked out of being Bond if you show up at the premiere with a beard and long hair.
Yeah.
Hippie?
Well, apparently, Daniel Craig has declared that he'd rather slit his wrists like an emo than do another James Bond movie because he's tired of the role. And I don't get this. Why, he's James freaking Bond. And he's actually built a name for himself. Whatever it was, not Solstice, what is it called? The one that everybody hates because the beginning is just total.
Quantum of Solace?
Quantum of Solace. I only watched it the once because it was all over the place. Barring Quantum of Solace, people have really liked the Bonds that he's been in and really feel like he's pulled off the Bond character. And in fact, I think I seem to recall something about people who are fans of the book saying that he has much more, not just physique, but looks like, because he's kind of craggy, Daniel Craig, whatever.
Yeah.
That he's not this, he's not uber handsome, kind of like the way that people think of Sean Connery and Roger Moore as having had this natural handsomeness, but he's more rugged.
Right, he kind of looks more like he might be a spy.
Yeah.
Well, plus he's kind of a
careworn.
rougher character.
Yeah.
He's not the smooth and suave. He's just gonna show up and
get business done.
And take names.
He's gonna get business done and take names, so to speak. But yeah, he, for some...
As the old saying goes.
Yes. For some reason, he doesn't want to be Bond anymore. But, who wouldn't want to be Bond? I don't get this.
I think that he had just finished making the new Bond film when he said this. So, I think that he was probably overtired and was just kind of sick of being Bond at that point.
Gotcha.
I think that it was just kind of oh man, just get it over with. If you had been playing the same character for 9 months, you'd be like, oh man, do I really have to be Jester again today? I don't want to do that again. You'd kind of okay, I'm done with playing that character. Fine. Can I do something else, please?
I would...
I kind of feel like he was just tired of it at the time.
Yeah, but TV actors do this all the time. In fact, here's the thing, and that could almost be a topic in itself, is I don't quite understand actors that are associated with the role that's, how do I say it, cool and powerful, and you're the guy that people want to be. And then, oh, I'm so sick of it. It just seemed... I don't know. There's a certain... I feel like there's almost like this certain pretentiousness to it that just feels weird. I mean, it's like there are people like, let's take for example Doctor Who, and there were some doctors that were better than others, in my opinion, that let it be known, okay, I'm only doing this for 3 years because I don't want to be typecast. Because, like, yeah, who wants to be typecast forever as, like, the brilliant, witty guy who comes in, saves the day, and is smarter than everyone else in the room that is a hero?
And that's why you're not an actor.
Yeah, I get the desire to play fresh roles and such, but...
you want to play more than just that one role. You want to be more than just, oh, well, he can only play that. It's like people saying... The one thing I hate the most is, well, he's just playing himself. I'm like, yeah, you know how hard that is? Have you ever watched home movies? Yeah, people playing themselves suck at it. Yeah, you cannot play yourself.
I don't know. I think Tom Hanks has made an entire career out of playing himself in whatever he's in.
Right, yes, and he does it very well.
It does it very well.
But have you ever seen home movies? Most people can't. Most people are really bad at playing themselves. They wave awkwardly. It's like, hi, it's me. Hey. No. I understand the desire not to be stuck in that one role. That one thing that people think that you can play. And wanting to play something different. Maybe I want to be a dramatic actor now. How about that?
I thought Bud was kind of drama-y. At least this one is a lot less throwing off funny quips and mugging at the camera, and a lot more like I'm the guy who gets things done.
Maybe Daniel Craig wants to be funny. Maybe he thinks that he could be a comedic actor. I don't think he can.
I don't think he can because I've seen other stuff he's been in where he's trying to pull off.
Comedy is hard, drama is easy.
Yeah, no, it's dying is easy, comedy is hard.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I guess that's the same difference. Drama is hard, easy. Dying is, or comedy is hard. Anyway, like I said, I don't know if you're right here, where it's just he just got finished playing the role.
No, that's the reality of it. Is he had just gotten finished playing the role. I don't know if that was his entire thinking on the subject. I cannot know Daniel Craig's mind.
I'm sure there's a door somewhere right next to the one marked John Malkovich. You can crawl inside. And
I will find that door because I want to have them abs.
Yeah, those aren't store-bought, you know. Anyway, yeah, we'll have to see whether it's really his thoughts on it, and if he follows up and says something like, "I can't believe how out of context I was taken," but. If I'm...
Well, that was like one of his co-stars was saying. It's like,
wonder if he was out of context.
Total hyperbole. He totally didn't mean it. It was just kind of sick of it, and he was being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
So, I think that his co-star didn't really think that he meant it. Well, I think that he kind of did.
Isn't he contracted to do one more movie? I think
I'm
he
not
has
sure.
one more.
He might be... if he does. If he doesn't, I mean, who are you going to get to play Bond other than Idris Elba?
Yeah, I don't know because and I think Daniel Craig. I don't want to say was a relative unknown, but he wasn't quite somebody you like turned to.
You know. Definitely wasn't a name actor. It wasn't like you cast Kurt Russell or something.
Yeah, no.
He was, like, not a name actor. Like Michael Caine didn't step in and decide to play Bond.
Yeah.
It was, kind of a also-ran kind of guy. He's a Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
I remember... recognize him from some stuff I've seen him in.
Yeah, I remember when he first was cast... And I think the website is actually still out there. It was like, Daniel Craig is not Bond, or I hate DanielCraig.com, something like that.
Daniel Craig is not Bond is the website, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually still active and out there. And there are people who are just like so vehemently opposed to him. And now he's
because he had blonde hair and blue eyes.
Because he had blonde hair and blue eyes.
Why are you casting an Aryan?
Yeah, interesting. And now that he's saying, like, I don't want to be Bond again. Like, people are like, you're Bond, though. How times change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting one. We knew this was coming, and this is inevitable. But there's
you really need to work on your segues.
Well, they're expensive, and I can't afford them.
And I prefer to walk. Anyway.
Yeah, same here. Anyway, July 16th, 2018, we're going to have Ant-Man and the Wasp film. Hooray. So that actually is a fairly quick turnaround considering the one that just came out this past summer.
Yeah.
And I guess it did well enough that they think there's sequel material in there. And obviously...
Well, it's Marvel. They can pretty much put anything out.
Yeah, it's Marvel, too, so they can pretty much a sequel out of anything. And
wipe their nose with a variety and put that on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but I just find it interesting because they set it up, obviously. If you've seen the movie, you know that they do set it up for a sequel, but just that they're, like, this gung-ho about it, like, yes, we're going to do it. And it's not just like they're going to be side characters in a larger Marvel movie. They're going to get their own sequel, which I think, personally, I find that kind of surprising because I enjoyed the Ant-Man film. I don't know if I'd make it... I don't know where you'd go with it sequel-wise, like where you'd...
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But is the Wasp in?
No.
No.
No, they set it up. They set it up in the movie that a certain character is going to become the Wasp. So and you kind of get that hint fairly. I don't want to say early on. You get that hint kind of midway that's probably where things are going to be going. I mean, not
do
like
you kind of need to know the comics in order to know that, or
no?
It's kind of like
it's more like they telegraph it in the movie. There's that kind of setup that you can kind of see. Where, like, okay, well, why isn't this person... Oh, okay, so they're setting it up so that they're going to become the Wasp. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, everything that they had before works in well. And which is also, I guess, a credit to the writing ability of those who make the Marvel films, Iron Man 3 accepted, is that they know how to set things up for the future. And make it so that it doesn't feel like, oh, and by the way, this character is going to be the Wasp now, or oh, by the way, this character is now the Falcon. We were totally hinting at that before, and not have it be vague.
It's like the Ed Norton
blank to blank.
Hulk movie, where they're like kind of hinting that what's the name becomes the one with the good brain.
Yeah, I know. They like show this whole scene where like mutagenic goo drips on the guy's head. Not Tim Roth. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it drips on the scientist's head. You could see it expanding, so you know he's going to be this a villain that escapes my name for the moment, but you know that he's turning into that character.
Yeah.
Obviously, that went nowhere because we haven't seen a Hulk sequel starring Ed Norton.
Which there really should be, and he thought he was going to be in the new Avengers.
He thought he was going to be in the new Avengers.
Mark Ruffalo looks better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he thought the tight, curly hair that Mark Ruffalo has, that kind of Cabbage Patchy look, makes more sense on top of a full-grown Hulk. Or
maybe they just thought Ed Norton was too expensive.
Maybe they thought Ed Norton was too expensive. He might have been difficult to work with on set. Who knows? It might have just been...
No, not Ed Norton.
Or maybe he was cheaper to work with, like you're saying. Yeah, because Ed Norton was fairly well-known. Not that he's no longer well-known. So, Ed Norton, who's that?
Who?
Yeah. Ed who? It's... I don't know.
No, he was in Fight Club, remember?
Oh, yeah. No. But I don't remember there being...
Brad Pitt?
Who? Yeah. I don't remember... And I don't want to say remember. I don't remember seeing the Marvel movie docket having Ant-Man and the Wasp as something that was coming up. It might have been under the
untitled... It wasn't originally...
It wasn't originally
listed.
But
right. Yeah, it may have been Untitled Marvel Project.
It might have been one of those Untitled Marvel projects. And this is the reveal, and it might actually
Except that Marvel didn't actually have any of those in their reveal.
No.
They didn't actually, they did the reveal, and they actually had names for all of theirs. They're like, yes, we're releasing Ant-Man, we're releasing Captain America, we're releasing, Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah.
All of the, had all of the things, and Civil War, and all of that in there. So they're kind of fitting it in between.
Yeah.
in between their massive docket of
Yeah.
all of the Marvel movies, isn't it going to step on some other Marvel movies' toes?
I don't know. I guess
doesn't just about have to.
Well, this could also
It's
be
got to
part of
come out the same summer as some other,
or maybe they're planning to
Marvel.
put this one in the Christmas season because it's kind of like they already have
Oscar contender that.
Yeah. They may have, they want to expand beyond summer season and say, hey, let's get some of those Christmas time vacation bonus dollars there. It's interesting.
Yeah, it surprises everybody. Thanksgiving to Christmas is actually the busiest time at the movie theater. It's busier than the summer.
Yeah. You got that whole cram of people coming in, but
yep.
It's interesting, that they're trying to put in this, and it may have been that they had okay, we're going to make a movie here, let's get it rolling. What's it going to be? Ant-Man did well enough, so it's going to be an Ant-Man sequel. And it could be that it has nothing to do, like they had talked about before, they're going to try to do more standalone movies that don't tie in necessarily to their overall arching story with the Infinity War. It could be that they're just going to have a standalone Ant-Man and Wasp movie. And if need be, or if they really want to, they could do what they always do with the films. Is they have that 20-second, 30-second stinger at the end where they show some sort of thing of how it connects to the larger
and you just
story.
have your little moment where you scoot everything together and go, hey, yeah, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the end of Iron Man. They didn't really set up an overarching plot other than to say, hey, we're interested in you for the Avengers initiative. I mean, that's just kind of that's tittillating. Ooh, the Avengers. Does that mean it might happen?
What does that mean? Are they going to make an Avengers movie?
My heart.
Be still, my beating heart.
Yeah, and back then, I'm not sure if they really did have plans for that or throw that out there and see how it does. But
yeah, I think it was more of a throw that out there, see how it does. And then everybody, oh, yes, please do that.
Yeah.
I went back because I actually left the theater after the movie was over and the credits started rolling. I left the theater and didn't know that there was a stinger. So I actually went back and bought a ticket to watch it again just so that I could watch the stinger at the end. Because I found out that there was a stinger at the end and I'm like, but I didn't watch that part.
It's and now everybody stays at the end of Marvel movies.
Yes, exactly. And the most recent one, they got it halfway through.
Yeah.
Halfway through the credits, anyway. Okay.
Okay, moving on. So we're on the subject of sequels. We talk about a sequel that isn't going to be coming out anytime soon, which would be the Beverly Hills Cop 4 movie. Apparently this past summer they decided that they were going to move it back once again, put off making it, because originally they were slating it for some time in the Christmas season of 2016, but Paramount Pictures decided that they already had something scheduled for that right around the same time. They don't want to be doubling up movies.
And they don't want to step on their own toes.
They don't want to step on their own toes, as one does. And
as they often do.
As they often do. Oh, gosh. Remember when people other than Marvel and Pixar made movies that were good franchises? Anyway,
no.
It's been a while.
Been too long. No,
it's been too long. But maybe that's why people are making the jump to Netflix, which is kind of what Eddie Murphy is working on, apparently a project with Bryan Singer. And maybe that's part of the reason why they're also putting it off, is because he's doing a Netflix movie, which is kind of fun and interesting to see this happen, because you already have Kevin Spacey, who's on a TV series, quote-unquote TV series, House of Cards, that's a Netflix exclusive.
Awesome.
And now I still have to watch it. I've heard it's great.
Yes,
I've heard it's fantastic.
You do have to watch.
And yes. It's interesting to see another name movie star, I should say, making the leap to Netflix.
Right, yeah, and Netflix has been doing some great stuff with their original series.
Yeah.
So far, and I guess probably, I think the first one that they did was, that I know of anyway, that springs to mind is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2.
Yeah.
That they were releasing in partnership with the IMAX theaters. I really don't know how well that did.
Yeah.
So, actually, oddly enough, scrolling through Netflix, I haven't seen it pop up on there.
Nope.
So, I'm not sure where that went or what happened to it. But, originally supposed to be.
Yeah.
Coming out, and...
I'm wondering, too, if Eddie Murphy's playing it safe. I mean, like, we've already heard that, like, Adam Sandler is going to be making the leap as well.
Right,
to
yeah,
Netflix.
Adam Sandler's got, like, a multi-picture deal.
Yeah, multi-picture deal just for Netflix. And I'm wondering, it's interesting to me that both the people who have made recent jumps, so to speak, to the Netflixing are comedic actors who've had kind of, I don't want to say flops, but just their careers kind of gotten a little stagnant. Like Eddie Murphy, like the last couple of movies he's done, like Meet Dave and...
Meet Dave was funny, I don't care what you say.
It's
not good.
No.
But it's kind of funny.
Like Meet Dave, like Tower Heist.
Tower Heist was mediocre. I'll grant you that.
Bowfinger, which...
Bowfinger was one of Steve Martin's lesser films.
Yeah, but...
That's not as bad as Mixed Nuts.
No, it's not as terrible as Mixed Nuts. But yeah, it's interesting, too, because... he was in Dreamgirls a few years ago, which was Oscar nominated.
And wasn't he Oscar nominated?
Yes,
for it?
he was. He was Oscar nominated, I believe, for
for a dramatic actor. Like it was not dramatic actor because they don't separate it. Like
they're not the
Oscars.
Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes.
But yeah, he was up for an Oscar.
I think that he got the Golden Globe for the best dramatic actor. Actually, for
I think so. I think that actually, if I recall correctly, the Dreamgirls did really well at the Golden Globes, and everybody thought that it was going to do well at the Oscars, and then it didn't.
And then it didn't.
Yeah. It didn't. But yeah, it's interesting because, excuse me, he's a well-known comedy actor, and he's a well-known actor to boot, and to be making that kind of leap to, like, it's not television because they can get away with a lot more, and.
It's not television. It's HBO.
It's not television.
I mean Netflix.
It's Netflix, which they can basically treat like HBO. They don't have limitations on like okay, you can't show these certain programs before this time of day because kids are up, and they don't have the limitations of you can't swear like that. This is this isn't cable. This is a network television program, which wasn't it you were saying something about like how Bryan Singer was hoping for something wrong.
Yeah, he wanted. That was his quote, was that he was going to make you're going to see Eddie Murphy Raw, and everybody went we watched that. Is it going to be homophobic in this one too? No, it was kind of hearkening back, like trying to remind you that, oh yeah, he used to be kind of a dirty comedian, and kind of want to remind you that, hey, Eddie Murphy isn't, Dr. Doolittle.
He isn't Dr. Doolittle or Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor. Or the Clumps.
Or the Clumps, whatever. Or Norbit, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of sad because it's, I'm not a fan of his raunchier stand-up comedy, but I have heard some of his bits on a local station out here that does comedy things, and they obviously bleep out of a lot of the swearing, but he's funny. He can be funny.
Yeah, he can be.
And it's weird to think that, like, at some point his career went from, like, funny man to family man to, okay, I'm in suits and CGI suits and whatnot to be funny, because it's sort of like,
hey, look, I'm fat. That's funny, right?
I'm fat. That's funny. Like, yeah, the whole impetus of the thing is look, it's Eddie Murphy in a fat woman suit, and isn't that hilarious? And it's just sort of like,
you go,
no, it wasn't funny when Martin Lawrence did it for Big Mama's House. I don't find it funny this time either. In fact, I didn't find it funny in the sequel either.
Why did they make a sequel? I thought it was awful.
Yeah, another one of those movies that I got paid to watch at the theater. Like, no, you get to watch that on your own, Stone. It's like, but I've been good. Go watch Big Mama's House too. But no buts.
Oh, you had to watch Big Mama's House 2?
I
only had to watch Big Mama's House 1.
I had to watch both of them. I was paid to watch the second one because after the first one, everybody realized what a dog the second one was going to be. And they're like, nope, not watching it. You get to do that. I can't think. I can only think of a handful of films I was ever paid to watch as a projectionist that weren't like just bottom of the barrel, like, you get to watch that one. We'll be off at theater 6 watching,
Like, we'll go watch the good movie while you get stuck watching this one. Actually, my favorite one was that nobody wanted to watch Bring It On with me. Like, I actually kind of wanted to see Bring It On, and nobody wanted to watch it. I ended up bringing my friend Adam and making him watch it with me. And we watched it, and in, like, 2 theaters down, they watched something else. I don't even remember what it was. And they were starting up the other print of Bring It On. And we walked in there and watched it again.
Okay.
He didn't want to watch it the first time, and totally came in, sat down, and watched it with me the second time because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we watched it again and left the theater at 4:30 in the morning.
As one does.
Like you do when you're a projectionist, or
yeah,
like you used to do when you're a projectionist.
They had projections.
Build movies out of film.
Okay, yeah.
We digress. Wow, that was a digression. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, comedians making the leap to Netflix. We'll see how it goes. For all we know, Jim Carrey could be next on the... Like, I have a flagging and sagging career. Let me go to Netflix and do a few things there.
I think Jim Carrey could have a promising dramatic career on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah. Hey,
I don't think that anybody's going to give him a great dramatic role on film again.
Nope.
But I think that he could be a really great dramatic. He is a great dramatic actor.
He can do drama.
And he can do drama.
I think
comedy is easy.
Dying is hard. No, wait, dying is easy. Comedy is hard. Anyway, we digress. Okay, time now for Thank God for Video, that portion of the program where we recommend to you various movies and films and TV shows, possibly, that you should go out and check out, whether streaming or buying a physical copy. So, since we're in October, I think we have more Halloween recommendations, so why don't you kick it off?
Well, I'm kicking it off with Martyrs.
Martyrs, okay.
It's a French horror film, as I've said many times in my life, I don't like horror movies. And this one, if you want to watch a particularly disturbing horror film for your Halloween party, this is the one to watch.
Okay.
It's written, directed by Pascal Laugier. Who also did The Tall Man, House of Voices. If you happen to have seen them, I haven't, but I plan on, because I like really disturbing shows. But this is one of those, really some of the best, horror, suspense, everything is coming out of France right now. France is really doing some great horror movies. And Martyrs is really the one that everybody recommends.
Okay.
Because it's got something for everybody. Basically, so it starts out that this girl shows up, ends up institutionalized, because she says she's been basically abused and locked in a cellar and been beaten and all of this stuff, and gets sent to an insane asylum, befriends a girl there.
Yeah.
And ends up talking to her about it and saying, hey, yeah, this is what happened to me and stuff, and I gotta really, go try and find these people and exact my revenge and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And so then she ends up being released many years later, and goes back to the place where she's pretty sure this is the place where it was, and kills the family inside.
Okay.
Just brutally executes them with a shotgun. and then calls up her now girlfriend and says, hey, I need some help cleaning this up. Like, I just killed all the people that were trying to torture me. So her friend comes over to try and help her out, and then the mysterious figure that has been haunting the girl that was the originally institutionalized shows up and slits her throat. Or maybe the girl slit her own throat. It's a little unclear. But then her girlfriend gets abducted by the people that are in the house.
That were just killed.
No, the people that were actually the ones who kidnapped her in the first place. It was just a family that was living in the house above the people that actually had kidnapped her.
Whoops.
And now we're 15 minutes into the movie.
Wow, okay.
And that's the setup.
I was going to say, that's the first reel, huh? That's
Yep.
the first 15 minutes of the movie. Wow, okay. I was going to say, well, that sounds like the whole plot. No, that's just the intro. Okay.
And things get bad from there.
I was going to say, things get
And
bad.
that's when things go wrong. So, first, I guess probably about half of the movie, you've got, this weird, psychological, figment of her imagination character that keeps popping up. And you get, the brutal slaughter of people and all of that. And the, after the whole massacre of a family thing, it turns into, I hesitate to call it torture porn.
Okay.
Because there's nothing enjoyable about it at all. It doesn't revel in it. It is just like a camera watching bad things happen. And it is absolutely brutal to watch. Just crawling into the back of the couch. I do not want to watch this anymore. 5 minutes before the end of the serious, brutality, you are, please stop making me watch this. It is just so hard to watch. It's got jump scares at the beginning and got all of the blood and splash and everything, and then just the brutality of the don't want to watch this anymore. This is bad. I'm going to have nightmares for the rest of my life watching this. So, if you want to have a movie that makes you want to not want to watch this anymore, this is hard. That's your movie. Okay. I was actually on Facebook a few weeks ago, and somebody had recommended to one of my sweet, innocent friends that is just a, nice, sweet girl loves to watch Broadway shows. Not the kind of girl that would want to be interested in this at all. Yeah. Somebody was trying to tell her, and everybody chimed in with choruses of, oh yeah, you should watch that. And I'm like, no, please, no, do not watch that. You are sweet and innocent, and that will hurt your brain. Do not watch that. Some people really enjoy watching brutal, just bad things happen. I enjoy watching bad things happen. I understand that this is a good movie. It is hard to watch. The ending, I've read mixed reviews on the ending. The ending did kind of come a little odd to me, although if you think too hard about it, the ending really hurts your brain a little bit. But it's hard to watch and probably makes it the perfect movie for if you want a horror film and you're guests at your Halloween party are literate, so they can read the subtitles, then, and there's not even that much dialogue in it. Like the last half hour, they barely talk at all. So you can basically just watch the torture happen on screen. So, torture-rific. Don't watch it. It's available on Amazon. You can rent it for $3. $2.99 on Amazon if you want to watch a young girl get brutally tortured.
Okay. Yeesh. Well, again, remember, these are not Christmas recommendations. We are in October, so this is a wonderful...
These are for your Halloween party.
These are for your Halloween party. So that's, Martyrs, a French film, but still, sometimes I don't want to say sometimes, you're saying they're
many times. They apparently, like I've heard many people saying that the French are coming out with the best ones right now. The actually, everybody, like for a while there, it was all Japan.
Yeah.
But now, France. France is doing it up. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And Martyrs, definitely a testament to that. That was brutally hard to watch. But if you're into brutally hard to watch, that's your movie. I was crawling through the back of the couch. But if that's your thing.
If that's your thing, then yeah. Well, my own TGFV is a little less brutal, but I'm going to double up this week because it's kind of hard to just recommend one of them, and that'll be Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. And just a quick note on the Bloodlust subtitle of the second film. It actually wasn't going to be called Bloodlust. The decision to have that subtitle was a last-minute thing because they wanted to be able to distinguish it from the first film. And like, the first film came out in like 85. The second one didn't come out till like 2000.
Right.
So it's a substantial gap between the two movies, enough that they were, thinking, we'll just call it Vampire Hunter D again. But despite that title, it's not quite as gruesome as you'd think. But anyway, Vampire Hunter D is this character that's basically a half-human, half-vampire hybrid. And he's super powerful, has, I believe it's his left hand. Could be wrong. It's like I'm sitting here trying to remember the pictures here. One of his hands basically is also possessed by a talking demon spirit, which is kind of weird, but this is Japanese anime, so it kind of goes with the territory.
Not that weird in Japanese anime.
Not that
no,
weird.
He didn't have tentacles, for goodness sake.
He didn't have tentacles, so it was pretty, it was pretty normal. No, it was tame.
It's like every day in Tokyo, for goodness sake.
Yeah, but the movie, so like, I'll just give a quick brief explanation if you haven't seen Vampire Hunter D. The original is set in a sort of small village. It's got this setting that's not, I don't want to say it's not really in the past. This movie, both of the movies actually, are set in humanity's future, which is kind of neat because the first one, you get this image of that, like, just demons, monsters, horrible things are everywhere in the world. Like, it's not safe to go out at night, not even into your own front yard, because they're crawling things. And, like, in particular, I still remember this image from the first movie where this kind of gaseous cloud pours on to the farm, and it's like each one is its own little entity, but one of them gobbles up a deer, and you get to see it skeletonized. And it's like, holy cow, this world is freaky, It's not safe. It leaves you unsettled. Anyway, the hero, Vampire Hunter D, great character design. You have, like, this huge, like, almost it is cartoon, but characterist, humongous hat, black cloak, black, dress, and rides on a big black steed. So he's got that kind of, like, I'm a bad you-know-what going on. And kind of that monotone emo personality, but it still works well because he's going along, he's slowly wiping out not just the monsters from the world, but also, like, he in particular, as vampire human half-breeds are, wants to wipe out all vampires. Mm-hmm. And part of it, like I said, it's set in a small town, the original one, is that there's a particularly powerful count who's kind of marked this young woman as his own, and I'm not sure whether it was that he wants to like start, breeding more vampires and is looking for the right woman to do it, or if he's just, like he's the count of the area. Basically,
Right.
all these vampires are super powerful. They're the ones who rule over the monsters and wickedness of the world, and he's the lordship of this. He's the lord of this little area. Again, great character design, great action in it, and a really great story too, because it's not just gruesomeness that happens in anime films from time to time.
Right.
You get that kind of over the top. They chop their arm off and they're screaming, "Ah!" and blood's shooting out like crazy, which does happen, but it's gonna sound weird to say it, but it adds to the film.
Yeah.
it makes it that much more like horrific in its own way and unsettling. And that one is buy only. I can't find it anywhere to download, but it's well worth being in your collection. And then there's the sequel, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, which, if the first movie had sort of that characteristic animation that you see in kind of 80s anime and 80s cartoons in particular, where you kind of have, I'm not sure whether it's a look or if it's just the passage of time, the colors look a little washed out.
Yeah.
But the animation is that much crisper, that much clearer. It's fantastically well polished. That's Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. And the main story of it is that a girl has been kidnapped, and her parents have paid to have D basically go out and either bring her back or bring some sort of token of her back, so that they know either like it's too late to save her from the vampire that's kidnapped her, and like if basically they say early on, like, if she's been turned, go ahead and kill her, because we don't want her back like that, because that's just horrible.
Right.
But you find out early on that actually they're running away together. They have this weird plan to go, I don't know how else to say it, this vampire, I want to say Valhalla, but this vampire planet that's supposedly out there, and there's a rocket ship that they're trying to get to. I know it sounds weird and absurd, but again, this is supposed to be like the distant future. And because this is a sequel to the first movie, it's set in a farther future than even the other one, so humanity has kind of started to gain ground on the monsters and is fighting back and fighting back hard. So even the humans that the hero D, Vampire Hunter D, runs into are wanting to wipe him out too, because they know he's half monster.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I won't bother mentioning the voice actors in it, because it's not voiced by stars really that you'd recognize. It's not people,
and I can't pronounce their names anyway.
I can't pronounce their names. You can watch it. The voiceover artists who've dubbed it are great too. None of that weirdness that you sometimes get, but fine polished animation, great story. It has some great atmosphere in it that excuse me, I guess it really gets you in the Halloween spirit. You've got vampires, you've got werewolves, you've got monsters of all shapes and sizes, ones that can crawl into the walls and give you an unsettled feeling without feeling cheap, like it was cheaply done,
Right.
like I did a jump scare, or here's something gruesome for the sake of gruesomeness. But these are monsters, these are horrible, horrific monsters that will kill you given half the chance, so you better kill them first. So it really sells you also on the, I guess you would say, a certain amount of desperation on the part of humanity. They're fighting back, and it's I don't know what else I can really say about it other than, yes, it's available for streaming for $2.99 on the Amazons, but it's well worth just having gone out and bought it, because even if you only watch it once a year around Halloween, then it's worth your time. And you said you had seen them before too. I remember going to see this.
I've seen them both. I own the original one. I never ended up picking up Bloodlust, but yeah, I do own the original one. I've seen it a couple of times. I definitely really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoy the animation style. I think that the original one, especially for me, like, I thought that the original one was better than the sequel. I guess sequel is the right term there.
Yeah,
but
it's
kind of sequel. But But I like the original one better. I enjoy the style and, even that washed out kind of like 80s look, I guess.
Yeah.
It worked for me, and I kind of liked that. And it's got such a great story, and the style is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely, put it on for your Halloween party.
But yeah, it's worth sitting and watching, and not just as background fodder. Although the animation and visuals are, again, very set the Halloween atmosphere for you. Mm-hmm. And, excuse me, if you're not interested in the movie, this is actually based off of a series of novels, or not novels, I want to say, but like manga. Manga? You say
it's a manga.
Manga. Also the same name, Vampire Hunter D. And as a follow-up, don't let the Bloodlust subtitle throw you off, because that does make it sound more gory and gruesome. If you're not into that for your Halloween viewing, you're just like, I want some kind of scare and
there is some blood.
There is some blood, but I don't know. There is blood.
There will be blood.
There will be blood, and there is blood. Don't get me wrong. It does have its share of.
It's a vampire show.
It's a vampire hunter show.
Anime.
It's a vampire anime. There's going to be blood.
Some blood.
But there's certain things you pull from the title of a film, like Bloodlust makes it sound like every second is just going to be filled with nonstop. Pouring blood out of holes.
Line. It's not just watching a river of blood roll down the Amazon. It's sure.
Yeah.
But you expect there to be blood.
It's a movie about vampires, but also has one of the greatest vampire werewolf encounters you'll ever see. And that's a Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. But yeah, those are our TGFVs, the Vampire Hunter D movie series, I guess, or sequels, and Martyrs. Or is it Martyr?
Martyrs.
It is Martyrs. Okay.
It is Martyrs. It's multiple.
Multiple.
It's Martyrs with a Y. Please don't watch it.
Okay. If you dare. Time for movies that needed a rewrite. Whether they were garbage to begin with, needed a tweak here or there, or just had one fatal flaw that needed a little bit of a rewrite, as we say, then, well, here are our thoughts on them. And kicking it off this week will be me with the keeping Halloween-themed monster movie, which it's more of a comedy monster movie, but it's still a monster movie, and
monster movie.
I enjoy watching them at this time of year.
Comedy horror still counts as horror. So it'll be Tremors 3. I know you're thinking like they made a third one. No, they've made 5 of these things now. Like fifth one having just come out this past year. Still have to watch it. That'll probably be a rewrite, because how far can you take the franchise? And well, the answer is just a little too far. I actually saw the series. There was a TV series of this, and it was actually kind of funny, and they had like a Monster of the Week type of thing going on, and it had Christopher Lloyd too at one point. Always awesome. But anyway, we're talking the third installment in the Tremors franchise. So I never saw the series. I didn't know Chris Lloyd was in it. I might have to watch it now.
Yeah, he came in like a second or third episode as a scientist, wouldn't you know?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
But he...
this is heavy.
Yeah, this is heavy. He... Not going to go off on Chris Lloyd. You want to, because Chris Lloyd is awesome. But anyway, so in the first one, you have like Kevin Bacon and... wow, why they suddenly blank on the
Reba
others?
McEntire.
No, not just Reba McEntire. The other guy. Shoot. His friend. Why am I going blank?
Fred Ward?
Fred Ward, thank you. You have Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, and of course a little bit of a cameo-ish kind of role. Not cameo, but walk-on, really. I don't know. Cameo? Wherever you'd put her. Reba McEntire's in it, too. And Michael Gross, who played Michael Keaton's dad. Yeah. Great movie. It was lots of fun. Comedy horror also, but like monster movie.
And a bit more toward the horror end of it.
And a bit more towards the horror end of it. People are...
They got more comedy as they went along.
And yeah, the first one you had people getting munched right and left, so you didn't know who was going to die next, which I think sort of is, at least in my mind, is a staple of a kind of monster horror movie, is you don't know who's going to be the next victim, basically. And it kind of puts people up for grabs, so to speak. Graboids being the monsters. The second one, they went from being these creatures that crawl around underground and grab people and pull them under, which was, that's great classic horror right there. It's like it's not safe to walk on certain parts. You have to walk on the rocks. You can't walk on the dirt. You're not safe in your home. You have to get up on the roof. But even there, you're not safe. That's some good stuff. And the second one had them kind of morph into these creatures that were able to go along the land, but couldn't see. They were heat seekers. And it was a lot more towards the comedy end, but it had some of those kind of horror staples you expect, the cast of victims that get munched along the way. And it was still all in good fun. It had its flaws here and there, but I don't think it really needed a rewrite, maybe a recast of one of the members, but it was still fun.
Fair.
The third one, however, that's where it starts to slide for me, is you don't have Kevin Bacon, you don't have Fred Ward, you have Michael Gross is carrying the show. And to be fair, his character is great fun. His character is...
He's great, man.
Burt Gummer, this like survivalist who's just into guns and just everywhere. And he's the... I don't know, the smart guy that everybody brushes off because he's loaded up and has the explosives that kill the monsters.
Gotta be foil.
Yeah.
Plastic is not an oxygen barrier.
Yeah. And he always had some great lines in the previous movies. And this isn't a knock against Michael Gross. I don't know if he's quite the person to quote-unquote carry the film. It would have been nice to see Fred Ward or even like a cameo from Kevin Bacon. But the fact of the matter is you had the storylines of the two main characters from the first one pretty much tied up, and there wasn't much else to go with the monsters, so they made them fly in the third one. Which,
in the most ridiculous way possible.
In the most ridiculous way possible. They called them, I won't give them their real name, they called them butt blasters because they rocketed off like via some sort of methane explosion from their rear. And it went from, I don't know, from like kind of funny horror to, I would say, crossed the line into a little too campy.
Yeah, it was a little campy. Yeah, and that's, I think, part of the reason why I couldn't bring myself to go along with 4 is that 3 was already so far.
Yeah.
Was that, that's about as far as I'm going to let you push this.
It took the series a little too far into the camp direction. It had like this, I can't remember her name. It had this like female stand-up comedian who there's Susan Chang. I don't know how to pronounce it. Chang. Susan Chang, who's like a stand-up comedian who was in one of the roles, and she just wasn't. I don't know how else to say it. Maybe she's funny as a stand-up comedian, but the lines and dialogue they gave her in the show was just like this kind of clunking, awful, I'm obviously trying to be funny, but it's hitting the ground with a dull thud humor. Michael Gross's character of Burt Gummer, I should say, is a little bit overworn at that point. It's fun to see him as a side role, as that guy who comes in at the last minute or has the solution to the problem, with guns and explosives, or has that sort of MacGyverish quality of like, I know how to get out of this situation kind of character, but not a whole movie. And then I'm going to say something else that was a flaw. It's just kind of weird, but there wasn't enough victims. Now, the first movie had it had a very small cast, but it had enough people that you learned a little bit about them. Okay, here's the Doc and his wife, and they're out there in the desert building their house, and then they got gobbled up, and that's it for them. Yeah. But you learn a little bit about each character. And it's disappointing because you don't see that in the third one. You have like a small cast of characters, a little too small, and they can't whittle away everybody because I think at that point there was already rumors of a TV series coming around, so you couldn't do too much with it. So you couldn't kill off a whole bunch of like people who had been in the previous 2 films. It just. Yeah, okay, so let's get to how I'd rewrite it. First off, I'd recast several of the roles. The lady, Susan Chang, was not funny. Whether that was her fault or whether it was the script's fault, I'm not sure. She just didn't belong in the film. Secondly, there's no problem with having the creatures fly, but having them fly in this manner that's just absurd, just so you can make what felt like a one-note joke.
Bad fart joke. A
bad fart joke is just, you sit there and you roll your eyes and you think, come on, guys, you didn't have to take it this way. It could have been scary. Oh my gosh, these things fly now, or have like a little bit of an edge. But instead, they went for goofy. Like,
right.
oh,
And
they
went
fly
a little
now.
too goofy.
They
with
went
it.
too goofy. Which, granted, this isn't exactly like, oh my gosh, the horrible monsters coming to get us. It always had been a comedy horror series. But, again, it crossed that line. And that's, again, I would say the main flaw of the movie is too far. Too far into the comedy area. You need at
least some semblance of, oh, they might get us.
You need a semblance of danger.
I think when you went to... Yeah, exactly. And I think they went too far into comedy instead of keeping it a little horrifying or, I guess, suspenseful.
A little Yeah, I know. It sounds weird to say that, but it's true.
In a
you need a little bit
comedy
of
film, it's hard to throw the suspense in there, but at least the original had the suspense of like, wow, somebody might die here. There could be a graboid come up and grab Fred Ward out the ground.
Yeah, because they had characters who you thought were going to be there, like get snatched.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh wow, they didn't make it. That's a little startling. So you think anybody could be a victim, and the second one had that kind of quality too, where you thought like, wow, okay, so anybody could be a victim. You get to this one, and you feel like, okay, well, I don't see how they're going to write this person out. Like they're just, it's hard to say it, but you do get that feel from certain horror and monster movies. When a character is expendable at certain times, and what adds that extra step of suspense to it is when you think that somebody is not going to get it, but that they do. That's what makes it its own little level of terrifying, even though it's not like up on the, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next, but that like, oh wow.
Like by the second movie, you're like, well, they're not going to kill Kevin Bacon.
Well, well, he made it out alive in the first one. And you already know that Fred Ward's character wasn't going to die in the second one. So you can guarantee he wasn't going to be a lost person, but you didn't know about the...
Gummer ain't going to die.
Well, there were a few moments where they made it like, oh my gosh, are they going to get him? But...
They did, but I never really thought that he was in any real danger.
I never thought he was in real danger. And again, you never thought that Kevin Bacon and Burt Ward were in real danger either in the original one. But yeah, a little too far into the camp.
I thought in the original one they might do it.
Really? That they might
in
snag
the original
one
I thought they might.
No, that they might take a total dark turn at the very end.
Because it wasn't a franchise at that point, like when I was watching it in the original one.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a franchise, and it was like, well, man, you could just, like, take Burt Ward out. Like, it wouldn't matter to anything. Kevin Bacon lives. Of course, Kevin Bacon lives, because he always lives.
Yeah.
But, he's always the savior of mankind. But, yeah, Burt Ward, yeah, we could take him out.
Yeah.
Like Michael Gross, we could have him getting taken out. Like, I thought anybody other than Kevin Bacon, I thought any of the other characters, I thought slim, like, easy pickings.
That's true.
Been on the ground.
That's true, because you have the first one, you have sort of a romantic relationship established with Kevin Bacon and the lady scientist person.
Yeah.
So you kind of figure that the two of them at least will survive. But yeah, that's true. Kind of comedy horror movies or horror movies sometimes would have the best friend get gobbled up or have them die in the last few moments of the film. Where you're just like, holy cow, that just happened. Like, oh my gosh.
Like, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's, your big surprise. Like, oh, I can't believe Fred Ward just got eaten by a graboid.
Yeah.
Like, I was waiting for it. Like, I really thought that was going to happen.
But no.
But no.
Anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure how the fourth one is, because I've never seen it. The TV series is goofy, fun, campy. It takes the comedy more seriously, if you know what I mean. Right. It takes the comedy more as the forefront and doesn't try to do a hybrid that doesn't quite work, which can work, but sometimes it doesn't. I'll watch the fifth one just because I'm a completionist.
Yeah, well, of course, because you got to watch them all.
Yeah.
Once you've watched 4, you've got to watch 5.
Yeah, you're committed. But yeah, don't watch the third one unless you like to do rewrites like us and say, nope, This is wrong.
I own the first 3.
That's probably part
After
of the pack. It's
after
like
I bought
attack
3,
pack.
nope, I bought them individually.
Oh, okay.
I bought them back in the day, bought them individually, and after I hadn't seen 3 when I bought it. After I bought 3 and watched it, I was not willing to go 4.
Okay. Well, that's it for my rewrite for this week. So what do you got for us? Anything fun?
And, well, yes, actually. It's actually considered one of the best horror... Well, I guess not really horror. It's more suspense, I guess.
Okay.
But, well-liked. One of the movies that... Actually, I know a few people consider it one of their favorite movies.
Okay.
American Psycho.
Oh, really? With
Christian Bale.
There's that famous scene with the cards, which I've watched. It's just funny, but not intense.
Yes, yeah, and it's meant to be intense. But
it's meant to be. It's meant to
really
be.
not.
Really, it's supposed to be intense. The whole
It
scene
is.
with them, with the whole business cards, is meant to be intense.
Yeah, it's meant to be intense. It's really supposed to be like them battling each other about the cards.
It's hilarious, though.
It is, and I think it's meant to be kind of funny.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's meant to be a little funny. But I think it's only meant to be a little funny and not
the rip
just like,
snorting kind of
that kind of funny. No, it's not meant to be rip snorting funny. It's meant to be, yeah. Oh, look at these goofballs. Kind of funny.
Okay.
Kind of meant to be like almost a little disturbing funny.
That the people are this obsessed about their business cards.
This obsessed about it. Yes, they're business cards, and the whole idea is, it's based on Bret Easton Ellis's book, who also wrote Rules of Attraction, Less Than Zero, probably most famously, well, other than American Psycho, I guess, is probably most famously.
Yeah.
But the next most famous is Less Than Zero. Written, directed by Mary Herron, did the screenplay, along with Guinevere Turner.
Okay.
Who you probably remember as Singer in Chasing Amy.
Okay.
No?
The singer from the stage that runs up and kisses what's her face after the song.
She's only listed as singer.
That's why I'm assuming who she
That's
is.
who I'm assuming she was. Or unless you remember her as indignant lesbian in Kiss Me Guido.
Whatever. Anyway, go ahead. So what were you going to say about Psycho? Because I could think of a whole lot of stuff that I'd change about it. Or at least... I didn't know it was supposed to be a horror movie. I guess, with the whole...
Well, it's kind of a... Well, it's a horror suspense kind of thing. I mean...
Yeah.
It's... Well, it's a slasher flick.
It's
certainly.
a slasher flick, for sure.
And it's kind of told from the point of view of the slasher.
Yeah.
And Mary Herron was trying to apparently make it a feminist flick. Apparently, this is a feminist movie.
Okay.
Apparently, it's all about feminine empowerment.
Okay. I'm waiting for you.
Did you miss that? I was waiting for you to explain that to me. Sorry.
I'm sorry. There's an undertone so subtle that it's... Yeah, just... It's behind the black of the credits.
Or maybe just because, the men are so awful?
Maybe because I know that, whatever, we're on 10th wave feminism, or just doesn't even try anymore for some kind of equality. It's just men are awful, and that's where it starts and ends. Right,
it was just...
your argument is?
It didn't make sense at all. That people were arguing that it's supposed to be feminist. I
can't even
don't understand. I don't get that part. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just not in tune enough with my feminine side.
Yes.
Though I thought that I was pretty well in tune. But I guess
I don't know. That sounds
maybe.
like somebody tried to... Anyway, go ahead, because this is
But that's the reporting, is that it was supposed to be like the feminist take on. But anyway.
So yes, this is supposed to be like a slasher flick.
But anyway, it's basically a slasher flick, and so it's upwardly mobile businessman played by Christian Bale, and quite well by Christian Bale. I thought that Christian Bale was quite good.
I would say he was almost scenery chewing, but in a fun way.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's meant to be.
That's what it's meant to be.
He's supposed to be chewing every piece of scenery.
Like that whole his opening narration with him in the shower and talking about his daily routine with I basically paint my body and do all this stuff. And
I do 1 billion push-ups and then I peel my face off. Yes.
Take his face off. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, and they've got the scene where he's peeling the mask off.
Yeah, I know.
At the beginning of the day, which is actually it's like kind of a nice shot of him like peeling the.
I was gonna say, I actually do remember that shot very well. But anyway.
But yeah, and actually, and most of the movie, like, pretty well done. Like I don't think that probably the best direction, like not kind of some of the choices I would have made, but I'll go along with you.
Yeah.
And I thought that Christian Bale was phenomenal in it. Nothing against Christian Bale. I think he was great in the movie.
Okay. But
here's where the Sir Mix-a-Lot butt comes out.
Okay.
He gets paranoid.
Yeah. You talk about the turn where all of a sudden
the turn where he thinks all of a sudden, for some reason, decides that everyone knows what he's doing. And he becomes paranoid. And he freaks out. And he's sitting in the bank and he calls his lawyer and he tells him everything that he did. No. He's a sociopath. Sociopath and paranoid schizophrenia are entirely different pathologies.
Yes.
This is entirely wrong for this character. This character would never do that. This character would never believe that there was a chance to get caught. Now, I understand why Ellis did it, because dramatically, it makes for an interesting turn in the character.
Yeah.
Except that pathologically, it is entirely wrong for his character. It doesn't work for his character because that's not the character he's playing. He's not playing paranoid. He's playing psychopath.
Yeah.
Sociopath.
He's playing a sociopath that doesn't think he can get caught. It's just
right.
He's sort of bored with life and does whatever.
Right. And doesn't imagine that there could possibly be any consequences, because that's a sociopath, and Christian Bale is playing that perfectly.
Yes, he plays.
Not that he doesn't play paranoid perfectly.
Yeah,
but he's playing two different characters in this movie, because he plays sociopath up until the point where the script says, "Okay, now you're paranoid."
Yeah, but wasn't that part of this? He's supposed to did he actually imagine the whole thing? But I get where you're coming, because it's just this weird turn where he goes.
Nobody can drop a chainsaw that perfectly.
Yeah, it goes straight from him being the weirdo who's just not weirdo, but I am bored with life and all of its trappings. I've achieved the pinnacle of whatever mankind has, and it's nothing and it's empty to me. So I'm going to do anything I want because that's just how I felt at the moment, and that includes butchering prostitutes in my room or brutally hacking to pieces the guy who got reservations at a restaurant that I've been trying to get into. So
throw an axe at his head. Why not?
Throw an axe at his head. Something by Huey Lewis and the News.
Hip to be square.
Hip to be square.
Which didn't make it to the soundtrack, because the producer said that Huey Lewis wouldn't allow it on the soundtrack, and Huey Lewis said, "What?"
Yeah.
Nobody ever asked. They were just trying to generate publicity for their movie. Nobody ever actually asked me if I could put it on the soundtrack. I probably wouldn't have, but nobody asked me. Didn't know what you were using it for in the movie, but I let you use it. Nobody asked me if could put it on the soundtrack. That had nothing to do with me. Sorry, have a nice day.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway, like, yeah, I could see that. The turn is just weird.
It is. It's not the same character. There's a sociopath, and there's the paranoia, and the sociopathy are entirely two different pathologies.
I get you. I know. I hear.
And that drove me nuts when I watched it. I'm like, why? Wait, no.
I can get where you're.
No.
Not that I'm in defense of the film, because I did find it weird that people were thinking it was this great kind of horror slasher flick, and it reminded me more of something out of Evil Dead because of the, I don't want to say camp, but because of how
it is a little campy.
A little camp. Some of the the scene where he hacks up the guy for getting into the restaurant or whatever, and he has the plastic laid down and butchers him to be squares. It does feel kind of goofy.
It is a little goofy, yes. And he drops the chainsaw down the staircase on the lady. You're like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. It's a little over the top, and I think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be a little bit heightened reality for that.
Well, yeah, and not that I'm totally defending the film, but here, as somebody who is a bit of a writer, I want to say this. Again, not defending the movie. I'm just wondering if it was more about the drama of the movie than
that's what I said. I understand why Ellis did it.
Yeah.
It makes for a good dramatic turn.
It does.
It definitely does, and especially by the way it ends up turning out at the end of the movie. Makes for a nice little switcher, turny thingy. But it does not make sense for that character.
Okay. I guess I just feel weird about it because there's the... I really remember this incident from my past where I was in the creative writing class in college, and I'd written this story where I just basically the whole plot was the guy had taken a bunch of pills and he figured that he knew that they would kill him by midnight. And I remember getting excoriated by one of the classmates, how do you know? You didn't get into specifics enough for me. I want to know why they would have done that. There's no combination of pills. I know because I do part-time biology work, and it was just okay, I was just trying to be interestingly dramatic. Not that I'm trying to excuse American Psycho, but it's just, I don't know. I guess it brings up a point of what point do you allow a little bit of leeway with a film and a story before it becomes that critical level of okay, I guess you're doing this for a dramatic bit of heightening the drama by making it so that he's all of a sudden paranoid and flipping out. But
I understand. I totally understand why he did it. And I know a lot of people who loved American Psycho.
I was not one of those people, just for the record.
Many people who count that among their favorite films. That paranoia turn was just wrong for me.
Okay.
And it may be the guy who in class had he studied biology and knows how to mix drugs, and so he knows that there's no way that you could possibly do that. Sometimes you're a little too close to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes things that your average viewer doesn't know.
And it kind of kills the suspension of disbelief.
Kills the suspension of disbelief.
But
for me, totally wrong.
Okay.
And I only had high school psychology.
I was going to say, you probably had high school.
I took it a couple of times, and I worked on dad shows on psychology, so that's about as close as I got on psychology.
I took college psychology, and I don't think we got
into I took three semesters of college psychology, too.
Okay, yeah. I only took one. It was not that interesting. Anyway, I think if I was rewriting it, I could see where your problem with it is, and I would just make it that instead of making these paranoid phone calls, to his lawyer and whatnot, just have it be that he casually drops it to somebody at a party, because you're right. His whole character up to this point is this character that doesn't care and is sort of becoming increasingly disconnected with reality and just like, I can do whatever I want. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I can get away with killing people. Here, I'll even tell like Fred over here from accounting, like, you know what? Guess what? You don't have to worry about, Mark getting in your way anymore. I just, hacked him to pieces.
I hacked him to pieces with a chainsaw. Yeah, you're fine.
Don't, I understand. Yeah.
Hit Paul in the head with an axe.
I hit Paul in the head with an axe, so I don't think he'll be coming to the next board meeting.
Yeah.
That probably would have been more in line with the character than sudden, like, oh my gosh, the world is against me, everybody knows.
And then you can have kind of a suspense revolving around that, of like, he doesn't have any awareness that he just did that.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, the walls slowly closing in, of like, you think that now something's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And then he keeps on with his life and nothing happens.
Yeah. You think, like, oh my gosh, he just told this guy that he totally is psychopathic murder.
Yeah, you can do that dramatically with some, great, like
camera angles
and, some good direction. You could totally sell that.
Yeah.
Of like, oh no, he just went one step too far and now everybody knows.
Yeah.
And have him be totally oblivious to it and just, you can feel the walls closing in just by the way it's directed. You can feel like something's coming.
And wouldn't that make for an interesting turn if you started again with what seemed to be the opening narration of him going through how he does his daily routine, and all of a sudden you have like a SWAT squad burst in and gun him down or something. That'd be just like, holy crap,
Well, see, but I still don't want to change the ending.
Oh, if him just kind of fade out to like...
it's like nothing happened.
Like nothing happened.
It's like, I thought that I was totally screwed here, but everything's fine. But I don't want him to be aware of any of it.
Gotcha.
I want us to feel, I want the audience to feel like, oh no, now he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, now he made a mistake. Now they're closing in on him. And then he gets made vice president. You know? Like I want, like, that. I still
like,
love...
I could see that. That would probably be even better, is a build-up to him, like, not being aware, us as the audience thinking, like, he's about to be pulled aside, there's going to be cops, and that's it for him, and he's pulled aside and told that he's just been made, like, a VP of the company, or he's next in line for CEO, or something like that, that he's not just any, like, vice VP or whatever, that he's now, like, going to be the head of this company.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of like the perfect ending for that.
Not only does nothing happen, but he's gotten...
But he actually gets a promotion.
And he gets his promotion, and he's even higher than he possibly thought he could get, and it doesn't make a difference to him at all.
Yeah, and nothing makes a difference. And that's kind of the point of the movie in the first place. It's just that paranoia.
Yeah. Okay.
Has ruined it for me. Yeah. Okay, so if any of you out there in Hollywood want to remake
American
Psycho, you can even get Christian Bale back. I thought Christian Bale was really good in it.
Yeah, Christian Bale was fantastic, and I go ahead and recast him in it.
They originally wanted Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that'd be a mistake.
I don't know if you could do it. Well, definitely not at the time. He was just a kid. But, I think maybe now.
Yeah.
He's a decent actor, maybe.
Okay. And now, time for Strained Metaphors with Lunchbox.
So, your strained metaphor this week is actually a recurring line from American Psycho, which had some flaws, but Christian Bale was great. But recurring thought in the film was, I have to return some videotapes. Which is somewhat anachronistic now, but seems to be like the perfect line for extricating yourself from a situation. We've all had those moments where you end up talking to someone and they're babbling on about how great their wedding plans are going, or, oh, my gout is flaring up, or, oh man, things have been going so bad at my wedding.
I have to return some videotapes. And we hope that you return next week and listen to us here on the One More Rewrite podcast. So for Lunchbox,
Night.
I'm Jester. Toodaloo.